Here in Michigan, the battle lines were drawn some time ago when it comes to energy choice. The battle between the large providers of electricity and so forth, natural gas and other utilities, battling against smaller, interlopers, if you will, back and forth. And we put it all out there for you to decide what you think is best for you, your family, and this state. Our next guest, Tony Daunt, Director of Operations, Michigan Freedom Fund. It's a nonprofit organization run by Michigan residents from the capital city. They strive to capitalize and catalyze grassroots movements. Tony, welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you, Steve. Happy to be here.
So give me an idea. Where are we on this conversation back and forth when it comes to energy choice?
Well, last year the legislation was introduced way back in March, I believe it was, early March, and the utilities spent a great deal of time and money trying to make it the case that things were urgent, that we had to get something done before the end of last year, or pretty much your life would go dark. And as you'll see, it's now January 7th, and that isn't the case. And so I think their argument that we needed to get rid of the choice market altogether was proven to be really just hyperbole and an overreaction and a desire to capture 100% of the market as opposed to just the 90% that they already have.
Now, the utilities, be it the big ones, consumers, DTE, and so forth, say that if small utilities and so forth are allowed to operate here, it'll threaten the stability of electrical distribution, for example, because they say that these smaller organizations don't contribute to creating the grid and don't contribute to making sure that it's stable. What do you say about such things?
I say that, it's relatively recent Michigan history in terms of the electricity market will show that that's simply not the case. Some folks listening to the program may know, some may not know, that from 2000 to 2008, Michigan was considered a fully competitive state in terms of electric choice, where folks could determine who to get their power from, whether it be consumers, DTE, or some other smaller group, the type that you've mentioned just previously. And at that time, we didn't have any kind of any issues with supply. There were no rolling blackouts. There were no brownouts, anything of that nature. What we actually had were some of the lowest electricity rates in the state. In the region, in the Midwest, and in fact in the country. And since we moved back to a much more regulated market in 2008, we've seen our rates really skyrocket and be some of the highest in the nation. And I think that's really shown just in the last couple of months of last year, where both consumers and DTE were granted really substantial rate increases on ratepayers beginning this year.
So what's going to happen when all these power plants across Michigan, 25, there's a whole host of them that will be closed here in the next few weeks, closing down by April. What happens when we have 25 plants closed by 2020, which is, honestly, that's just a blink of an eye away?
Well, the number I hear in terms of plants is 9 that will be facing closure as a result of the federal kind of overreach, the federal mandates on.
Hold on, Tony. Just for clarification, it's 9 this year, 25 total by 2020. I'm not trying to school you here. I'm just saying a lot of people don't realize that. And for clarification purposes, you're right. April of this year, 9 will be gone, and then by 2020. Another 16 will be gone. So for a total of 25. I mean, I don't know how we fill that gap. I don't know how the major utilities fill that gap. But my understanding is that we, the taxpayers, the ratepayers, as you put it, will be the ones obligated to foot the bill for brand new plants because of this overreach by the government.
And, I would say that really it's a simple argument here that we've been making at the Freedom Fund for the last 9-10 months. Competition is and always has been the best way to provide the best rate and to protect folks, taxpayers, ratepayers. And if you have just 2 companies that get to build all the generation, they get to do all of the distribution to ratepayers, the ratepayers are going to be the ones that suffer, because if you got two, they're not going to have to compete very much. And the rates that they say or the rates they need to pay are what really we're going to have to pay.
All right. Well, yeah, I guess we have to keep an eye on this. Rehook that line, Alex. That's just killing me. We're on the line with Tony Daunt, Director of Operations, Michigan Freedom Fund, battling back against the big utilities. And this battle has been going on for some time. The big utilities saying that it's more secure when the lines are, all taken care of by them, and rates all taken care of by, in effect. Let's be fair. In effect, if there's a monopoly and they control it, they say it'll work better. Well, you tell me if you believe that or not. We'll get Tony back on the line here in a second. My screen's not working up here either, Alex. So Tony Daunt, Director of Operations, Michigan Freedom Fund. This grassroots effort say it's a movement in favor of constitutional rights, and that energy choice is now in jeopardy in Michigan. Well, I submit to you that our rates are going to go up for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is the fact that he's right, that the rates are going to go up as a result of what's going on already, but they're going to go up a lot more when we start closing plants. And Tony, so I think that families in Michigan, no matter what happens, their bill is definitely going through the roof.
I think that's an unfortunate assumption, and it's been proven out over the last 7-8 years. Again, since we moved back to the much more regulated market, where the big utilities control 90% of the marketplace and are crying foul that having to compete for 10% of the marketplace is just too much and isn't fair to them. That has caused our rates to go up. And if we do anything to further restrict the choice marketplace, then absolutely your rates will go up.
Yeah.
And that's why we're fighting so hard to at a minimum, protect the 10% choice marketplace. The Freedom Fund, we would love to see us move back to a 100% competitive marketplace where folks compete for your business. I like to use the example of, would it be okay for the legislature to pass a law that you have to buy a car from either Ford or General Motors? I would submit that nobody would think that's a good idea, and in fact would cause the price of automobiles to skyrocket for Michigan residents. So why should electricity be any different?
Well, there you have it. You laid it out pretty well for yourself, Tony, so I give you credit for that. This conversation, a long way from being over, as both sides continue to lay out their case, if you will. Tony Daunt, greatly appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
There you have it. Tony Daunt, Director of Operations for the Michigan Freedom Fund, discussing energy choice. And like I said, this conversation a long way from being over. We'll be right back right here on the Steve Gruber Show.